find a good way to edit it.
What's up guys, it's K with 3D Technology. For this video, I'm going to be going over how to make any cookie cutter shape with Fusion 360. Pretty much you just find an image online or one that you have, import it into Fusion 360, trace the outline and 3D print it. Okay, so now go into Google, we're going to search for clip art. Since that seems like it's the easiest to trace out in Fusion 360. And work around on the search. You see this strawberry, so I'm going to save that to my computer and use it for my example, but you can obviously use different images if you want to. This is just one I think that's going to be the easiest for me to demonstrate how to make a cookie cutter out of it. Next, we want to import the image into Fusion 360. We're going to go to the solid menu, the first one that pops up, and then go to insert on the menu bar and click insert canvas, and it'll come up with this right here, or the image that you chose. And then next step is to resize the image to how big we want it to be, and then click on sketch and pick a line tool out. So now that we got this far, I used the normal line tool for this example, but going back over it, I realized that I should have used the spline tool. It's the curved line, which I'll explain later in the video, but I find it easier to use than this tool right here. Basically, the curved line is less steps involved in creating the outline or tracing of the object. We'll pick a point on the object, preferably on the outline, outside part of it, and start tracing on the outside edge. And then if you want to, you can trace along the inside part, like for the stem leafy piece on my example. Or if you don't want to do that, you can skip that and just put icing on the cookie or leave it without it. It's up to you. But we'll finish sketching around the outside of this and then move on to the next step. So now that we got it sketched, we can start to create the cookie shape. In this example, I sketched the inside piece, but as you'll see once it's printed, I do not have that piece on it. I went back and re-sketched my image with the curve tool. Now I ripped that piece off. But so click finish on the sketch, and so we'll have to go to the offset inside the sketch before we click finish, and we'll make an outside edge around it for basically for you hold on to it better, like most cookie cutters have on them. Then we'll make another outside edge, not too thick, about 0.5 to 1 millimeter thick. As you can see in this screenshot, I believe the edge for the grip is 1.5 or roughly that thick. But the second edge we're making on the outside, that's 0.5 to 1 millimeter, is going to be to extrude the shape outline of the cookie cutter, because if we don't have a good thick one, it's not going to be good enough to print. It'd be too thin of a wall for the printer to use. So now that we got the two outlines done, or the offsets, we can start to extrude the walls for the cookie cutter. This article recommends, I think, 16 millimeters for an outside outline wall, and I believe 14 millimeters for like an inside shape, like the leafy stem piece, if I was going to do that. I'll leave the link down below to the article that I'm using to help me design my cookie cutter. They give some good tips on the dimensions and how much you should extrude the cookie cutter's outline edge. So now that we got the cookie cutter designed, we can export it as an STL file and then import it into a slicer and save it to our SD card and start to print it. I'm going to be using PLA since that's the easiest to print. Just keep in mind that you need to be aware of the FDA food safe type materials if you're going to be selling these or making them for other people, or if you're just conscious about your own health with this stuff. Alright, so here's the finished cookie cutter print. It turned out well compared to how I designed it. It's definitely not a cookie cutter type, like a kind of combined store, I suppose. This is what it looks like. You got the edge along the bottom, you got the main frame part, and you got a chamfered edge. The main part is kind of thick. So overall, I thought this was an interesting project to do. It's not exactly how I figured it would turn out. My biggest concern is that the edge pieces on the cookie cutter is too thick, but since it is a first time doing it for myself as well, it's a learning process, but it will work out. So the next step would be to make the cookies, which I'll show you right how it turns out. But compared to the tutorial you just previously watched, I had to go and change how I designed it. Instead of using the simple straight line tool, I used the curved lines, or I think it's called spline, and drew it that way. Found that it was much easier and took half the time. And then I extruded the hat of the cookie cutter and then expand the side pieces to a good thickness so they would print. That's pretty much all I did for this one. So as you saw in the beginning, we used a simple clip art strawberry, which turned out very well in my opinion, but if you want to do something more complicated, it'll probably take a lot longer and more effort to design. This is just a simple to show you how to do one, and for me myself to learn how to make one in Fusion 360 and learn more about the design software and all the processes and stuff like that. So now we're going to make the cookies, show you the finished product of what this was designed to do. Okay, so I have the cookie cutter. I'm getting ready to make the cookies. I'm going to make a couple for example. But before you make this, you should always be aware of what you use to cook with, or drink with, or use in the kitchen. Some of this plastic needs to be FDA approved, but this is just an example of how to make a cookie cutter. So just be aware of all of that stuff. So now we'll get the oven preheated. Okay, so you saw the cookies. The cookie cutter did work, but I'm not that great at making cookies. I think I had the wrong type of cookies. I had the pre-made chocolate chip cookies. I think you need to kind of make them from scratch, like no chocolate chips in it. But the cookie cutter did work, so that was a success. The cookie didn't really work because of the cookie type, like I said. But this was an interesting project to do to see how you can design something off of a clip art sketch and turn it into a 3D model and then 3D print it and use it in real life. So that is really the main purpose of this video, to show you how to make a cookie cutter in Fusion 360. So that's going to wrap up the video. But anyways, that's gonna wrap up the video for this week. If you like this video and want to see latest videos first, make sure to click subscribe and I'll see you guys next time.